2023 Paper 2 Question 8. A wooden beam is used to support a wall built on horizontal ground as shown here, and there's some information. Pause the video if you want to have an attempt at it. If not, or you don't know how to do it, then that's the purpose of this video. So we're given the dimensions and we want to find out if the wall is perpendicular to the ground. C is at the foot of the wall, so the wall is marked as this is the 7 meters. So this is the wall and the ground is this. And they want to know, is the wall perpendicular to the ground? If they're perpendicular, that means that the wall and the ground must be at right angles. But if they're at right angles, then this must be a right angle, obviously. And it turns out that that would then make it a right angled triangle, if that was the case. So if that was the case, the triangle would be right angled. But we have to find out if that's the case. So the question is asking us essentially, is this triangle right angled? That's what it's asking. And you have got two methods of doing this. I will do both of them, but you've got the converse of Pythagoras and you've got trigonometry. I think the first one is easiest, but many pupils like the second one better. So let's do method 1. So all this is asking is it right angled? And specifically, is this angle 90 degrees? So method 1. The idea of the converse of Pythagoras is the longest side squared should be equal to the sum of the squares of the other sides. So AB squared equals 8 squared is 64. Then we write AC squared plus BC squared. Do not write AB squared equals AC squared plus BC squared. Now that is Pythagoras' theorem, but you don't know if the triangle is right angled, so you will lose marks if you write down AB squared equals AC squared plus BC squared. So you cannot at the minute write that. So it's 7 squared plus 4 squared. That's going to be 49 plus 16 is 65. We then notice that these are not equal, so 64 is not equal to 65. And more importantly, AB squared is not equal to AC squared plus BC squared. And the question asks us to justify the answer, so you want to give quite a description, not a description, an explanation, both mathematically, as we've done, and in writing. So we want a few sentences. So we then can say Pythagoras' theorem Pythagoras theorem. I think it's OR. It doesn't matter. It's maths, not English we're doing. So you won't get marked. You won't get marked down on spelling. So Pythagoras theorem is not satisfied. Then we say that the angle ACB, because C is in the middle, is not equal to 90 degrees. And we say that using the method of converse of Pythagoras, so using the method of the converse of Pythagoras, I'm just giving as much detail as I can. Using the method of the converse of Pythagoras, wall is not perpendicular to the ground. I don't think you would have to write all of this, but I would write this amount of detail just to be on the cautious side. So this is what I would write. That's us done the first method. The second method, which I think is more difficult, is we're going to use trigonometry. We have a triangle and we have three sides, and we have to find the angle C. If you've noticed the cosine rule, this version of it, you've got three small letters on the right hand side which represent the sides, and the capital on the left hand side is an angle. But we won't use capital A, we'll use capital C, because that's the angle that we want to find out. So I'm going to modify this a bit, and we put the cosine of C equals, we're going to change A here, the small a, to small c. The reason we modify this a bit is because the angle we want to find is capital C, and if you have a look here, small a is here, is the last term in the numerator and it's not on the denominator. So A essentially now becomes C. So I should have wrote A, B. You see C is this term, or C squared, and there's no C on the denominator. And you then put A and B for the other two. I know that's confusing. Ask your teacher, leave a comment if that didn't quite make sense, because I know a lot of pupils will get confused. Back to this then, let's substitute some values in. That's it. So angle A is opposite side A, angle C is opposite side C, and angle B is opposite side B. So side A is 4, so we put 4 squared, plus B will be a 7 squared minus 8 squared. And that's 2 times 4 times 7. BODMAS is super important, or BIDMAS, depending on which version you learned. So let's first of all find a value of the cosine of C. Be very careful with this one. And using the calculator, we get the value of 0.0178514. We then take the inverse cosine, so that will either be written, it can be written a few ways. It could be cos minus 1. It could say inverse cos. So the calculator should say one of them, most likely. Then you want to find the inverse cosine, making sure it's in degrees, and you get 88.98 to 2 decimal places. We get 88.98 degrees. And then angle C is not equal to 90 degrees. And we then say that the triangle is not right angled. Triangle is not right angled. But we have to link this back to the question, because it doesn't ask if the triangle is right angled or not. It asks, is the wall perpendicular to the ground? So it's not right angled, and we then say the wall is not perpendicular to the ground. And that's us finished then. Let's have a look at how the SQA would mark both of these methods. It doesn't matter which one you use as long as you use it correctly. The first one would be the strategy would be the first mark, this method 1. So getting the strategy is 1. The next mark is for getting 65 and 64. The third mark is for the comparison, and the fourth mark is for the explanation. Now, I maybe did go overboard with this one, but you never know what the SQA want you to write, so you're best off playing this on the safe side. National 5 is quite generous with the time in the exam, so you would be fine writing this amount. Higher maths is a different kettle of fish. Same with advanced higher. Once you go past higher, the time is tight. So that would be that. Let's have a look at this also. You could write this in many different ways. You could write 65 is not equal to 64. You could write root 65 is not equal to root 64. And again, you would lose a mark if you suggested that these were equal or not equal at the start, because you can't assume what you're trying to find out because you don't know that yet. And you have to make a reference to 90 degrees or a right angle. So you see it in this one, and we've mentioned right angled and Pythagoras theorem. So perpendicular is not enough. You have to actually write about a right angle. Now method 2, the first mark would be substitution. Your second mark would be for getting the cosine. The third mark would be for getting the angle. And the last mark is, again, we said right angled, and the wall is not perpendicular. That would be the fourth mark. And let's have a look at these then. So many pupils forgot to find C instead of the cosine of C. So they wrote 0.017. That would lose you a mark. And they did it here as well. They got 0.017. And let's have a look. Yeah, a lot of people forgot to realise in the Pythagoras method that you have to find the hypotenuse squared, then the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Some pupils found 7 squared, then 4 squared plus 8 squared, but the side of length 8 is the hypotenuse, not the side of length 7. If you have a look at 3a, they've done it in the wrong order. So I hope you found this video useful, and yeah, best of luck with the studying. Thank you for watching this.